Secret friends, unite!
One. Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 456. This is your guide to the geek side. And I am Todd Oxtra, recovering from COVID as we speak. So if I get a little loopy, I'm not speaking in tongues, I'm speaking in COVID.
Goodness. And Charlie Carden here, by the way. Kudos to Todd for his valiant effort of stage health and playing through the pain. Because when I had COVID, it coincided with Thanksgiving. I was not fit to get on, and then Todd was gone. So, good for Todd. I did tell him we were going to skip the 7th inning stretch where we get up and do jumping jacks. Well, because Todd might die. But anyway, it is great to be here. We're recording on New Year's Eve during the day. So 2023 is wrapping up. We're going to obviously be dining on, probably talk a little bit about 2023, talking about kind of what we're planning on getting into 2024. But as always, we love to give proper love, respect, and reverence to the wonderful folks over on our Patreon at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, where you can visit and get a free 1-week trial to check out our wares. I do a show. Todd and I do a show together. We've got a lot of other older content there. You have access to all of it, great interviews and all kinds of fun stuff. On our Friends with Benefits level, we have Mr. John Sedorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters cosplay, Brendan Myers, the Asian Sith Mistress, #1 Star Wars fan. And we're welcoming back Corey in HD. Corey left us for a little bit, but Corey is a great friend of the show, and we are glad to have him back. And as we'd mentioned, as I think the 3rd week in a row, Matthew Keel is our new Patreon. Matthew, friend of the show, friend of the network, going back many years, and we are glad to have him on board. On the BFF level, as always, the awesome Nias family, Sean, Stella, and Henry, and my dear friend, Missy Merchant. Thank you to them and to everyone really who is listening to us. Again, if you'd like to have a free sample of our Patreon wares, our various extra content, it's patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. We would love to see you there. And Todd, this cover you've chosen,
Well,
I tell you,
Matthew is superpower. So Matt needs a
my
superpower.
goodness.
Yeah, we missed that last time we recorded.
Wait, dial back. And Todd, what did you say about Matthew?
We have to give Matt his superpower because that's one of the benefits of being a BFF or friends with benefits. And because we were off last week just because of the holidays, my relatives were here, my in-laws. So we're gonna hit it now. So Charlie, Matt has recorded with us before. He's been on before. He is a huge music fan. So
I know. And so that is definitely my focus on his superpower. And it's going to be super finite because, again, like you would think, what's a really relative one is always a time traveler, always a time traveler. But the only time and place he can travel to is a music concert of his choosing. Want to see the Beatles at Shea Stadium in 1965? Boom. You can go there, see the show, come back. Want to see the Beatles, rooftop show in 1969? Beatles is where I'm stuck on this one. I'm not thinking, or the Stones at Altamont, or that terrible show in Cincinnati in 1978 with Who, where all those people got trampled. Hey, these are the only things I can think of. I don't think I'd want to see that one. Concert for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1995. I was there. So there you go. That's your power. Travel and go see shows. Go see Lou Reed in the Village in the 60s. Make it happen.
So my superpower for Matt is going to be anybody who's around him, their personal soundtrack or theme is generated. Like everybody can hear it.
Like traveling music?
Exactly, or something like that, or like a theme song, or like Shaft, plays in the background. Something iconic. It could be, Goodbye Stranger by Supertramp.
No! It's not Supertramp that you hated, Steely Dan. I'm sorry. I'm like, you're gonna bring up Supertramp.
No,
Hey, 19. Everybody has a music group they hate. For me, it's Dave Matthews Band. It's okay. At me over on Threads. It's all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Steely Dan. Never, please, never.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's cool. Well, Matthew, again, thank you for your support, and I apologize for almost skimming over you. But one thing that can't be skimmed on is this awesome cover from December of 1949, the year my dad was born. Also, the year Rick Springfield was born. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird when you think about you musical icons? You're like, oh, he's the same age as my parents. That's weird. But anyway, 52 awesome pages of Batman, I'm assuming volume 1. And these were alwaalways bi-monthly, so this was December of 49 and January of 1950, right into the new decade for 10 cents for 50. So that's what? That's half a penny a page? Is my math wrong? 5
Pretty
cents.
cheap, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But anyway, this is this is quite a thing happening here. So Batman, it says in this issue, the dynamic duo in a swashbuckling South American adventure, in quotation marks, ride, Bat Umbre, ride. And it's Batman and Robin on 2 gray steeds. Batman has a basically a scarf or a what would you call that? It's not a scarf.
It's like a sash,
like a bandolier, but without any of the. And then you have these South American maidens. Well, you got 3 of them. 2 of them in the back are swooning, and the one in the front looks like she's afraid for her life because those horses
are going to be
yeah,
stampeded by horses.
Exactly. So obviously, I mean, I'm curious, and Todd, it's been an awfully long time. Maybe this is a segment we need to look at, like for first quarter. But remember how we used to go back and pull a comic with
random comic generator from our titles.
Exactly. So I would say put that somewhere on the docket for first quarter, because I'm totally down, and we'll get a guest who will read along with us. I think that'd be fun, because it's been a few years since we've done that. But anyways,
let me give you the synopsis, Charlie.
Oh, please.
So the synopsis for the comic is: after saving the president of Montigua from an assassination attempt.
Sing me loud, sing me Montigua Bay. Do.
Yes, known for its rum and other fine beverages.
Rum.
Batman and Robin are asked to train a new Batman to fight off Mantigua's greatest threat, El Papagayo. Batman and Robin do their best to train a new Batman, but their efforts are futile, and they capture the criminals with help from the local police. And I like this because Antigua, or El Papagayo, is the antagonist. He has a parrot named Toto, and Luis Peralta is El Bat Hombre, and he has a single appearance, and it says dies. And Pancho, single appearance, dies. Felipe lived.
And it turns out that he's actually Ra's al Ghul. I can't believe it. Yes, I would enjoy reading this very much. And Todd, I know that you didn't actually have to look that up, because you got the synopsis firsthand from our senior news correspondent. Now, she was in her late 1940s when this came out, but Madam Webb is a huge Bat fan. So I know that she's read every single issue that's ever been out. But right now, she's down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine trying to stay warm, a little chilly out there, even in California. But she's got the latest news and scoops for us. So let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Well, Charlie, you brought up a good point. Madam Webb was actually the inspiration for Eva Perón, or Evita, and Madam Webb was actually the leader of Montigua, and she coined the song "Don't Cry for Me, Montigua. I want to steal all of your riches."
All your papayas and gold coins and doubloons. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, it was funny. April and I were watching this Nat Geo retrospective about the 90s, and one of them, of course, is about TV, and featured this wonderful program. Todd, now X-Files, that's one of your faves, as I recall, and I know we've even talked about doing a season of it over on the Patreon on the Facts of Geek Life. But now the property is, of course, owned by the good folks at Disney, and they're looking at maybe doing a reboot. So break it down for me.
Yeah. So apparently, Chris Carter, who was the creator of X-Files, is working with Ryan Coogler for a reboot. So Ryan Coogler, Black Panther, also did the Creed movies, highly successful, and he's looking to do something now, because I believe that blanking on his name. The Creed is actually taking over those movies, directing them. Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. There you go.
Yeah. So he's taken over that. So Ryan Coogler's looking for new projects. So and this is kind of neat because there was an interview in March where Coogler talked about it, that they want to do it, and little else is known. It's kind of interesting, the fact that it's kind of a no-brainer that it would make sense to do it. The X-Files never, I mean, in regards to the concept, very easy. The FBI investigating these things. They have a branch that investigates supernatural things like that. Kind of a big deal at the time in the early 90s when it came out.
Yeah.
And now it seems like genre is so much bigger. You could do this in the right way if you can nail it. Now, X-Files has kind of failed with its movies, also its spin-offs. There was the Lone Gunman, the Millennium.
Yeah, there was a rekindling back in 2018, and I had no idea. As I'm scrolling through, I had no idea there was an animated comedy series called The X-Files Albuquerque. When the hell was that on, and who showed it? Scroll down. I'm serious. It's right below where they talk about the movies here in this article. I know we're really well prepared, folks.
It was given a script commitment, but they never did anything.
That's why I've not heard of it. Okay.
Entirely.
Right. Okay. Well, then we're both guilty of not reading. And this is fascinating. This is a particular favorite of my mother's, and I've talked on and on that, I grew up in a Fox household because my mom was a sales rep at the local station here in Grand Rapids. So that was the station that was always on. So from 1987 till certainly 1994, when I graduated from high school, Fox was always on in my house when I was living here. So so this was when we jumped into, we loved it as a family, watched it as a family. So this would be, it would be exciting to see kind of how this comes back around to be something kind of new and different for the new age. Now, in a reboot, I assume we're moving on with potentially a new cast. Because again, like you said, the concept is evergreen. It's not tied back. It's like NCIS, right? Like, hey, there can always be another dead, chief petty officer down at the boat dock or something. Or then they can have it in Australia, which is their new show that I watched. That would be exciting. Now, Disney doing it, I wonder if that involves Fox. But I mean, they own Fox, so will it be on TV? Will it be streaming? Who's to say?
Hulu is probably the best place for it, which is part of Disney.
Which, while it still exists,
exactly. I mean, they own FX, so it could go on FX, then go to Hulu. But I mean, who's really watching FX these days? Good question. In regards to this, even then, Gillian Anderson says she's not really interested in going back to it. David Duchovny, I think he would be open to it. I quite honestly, in 2018, when the 11 season came out, I don't remember if anything changed where it's like they were dead, or I can't remember where that ended, because that was kind of a mixed bag.
I think they were finally a couple, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. That's what I remember. And Joel McHale was on it. For some reason.
That's right. He was involved. He was kind of like I think he was a news reporter or something like that. But
there you go.
All the rest of the people, quite honestly, are getting old. Mitch Pileggi, I'm guessing he's still alive, maybe.
I mean, and William, what's his butt, the cigarette smoking man, he's still alive, believe it or not.
Oh, he was in the movie. We didn't even mention that. He was in Once Upon a Knife.
Yeah, no, It's a Wonderful Knife. Once Upon a Knife.
It's Once Upon a Knife. A Wonderful Knife.
That's how memorable it was. But I think it'd be pretty cool. So
well, he blew up in the series. He was exploded in the series. So
was he? I don't even remember.
Oh, Charlie, that was something I remember just recently. I watched an episode. It was the season where Scully and Mulder weren't in, so it was Robert Patrick.
Oh, and Annabella Gish. Yeah.
Yes, and there was an episode about the cigarette smoking man was like hid away in like like an Adobe cavern where the aliens could stop people from coming there, and he was kind of like smoking and hanging out with Indians, and there was a helicopter with missiles that shot it, and he blew up. It was so weird. It was so bad. I'm like, wow. Yeah, you should watch that that season is bad.
Oh my God. That's crazy. That's like that's a Bobby in the shower scene kind of quality right there. Good stuff.
Exactly.
All right. Well, moving along. Now in the last few years, we're all pretty unanimous in enjoying Cobra Kai over on it's Netflix, right? But now Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, who is in the rebooting. Now I'm trying to remember if there was any. I mean, there is some kind of connection between those films with Ralph Macchio, not the comic book guy, and then Jackie Chan with Jaden Smith. Same universe, potentially.
Maybe that's where I don't know either. So they're talking about merging the two and making something new out of it in a movie. And apparently they're casting for it. And it becomes basically the Karate Kid cinematic universe, which, everybody loves the cinematic universe.
That's all that exists. Everything is connected. It's all that exists.
Yeah, so they aren't specific about how they would actually connect. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it would be like a big team up. Like, hey, it's the Avengers plus Wakanda. It's that kind of thing. Like, then they have to fight. They have to fight Thanos. That's it. Thanos pops out of a hole somewhere, and they got to do karate on Thanos. There's your movie.
Exactly, a snap. Now, I never saw the 2010 film, so I couldn't tell you like if it's still. He's like actually maybe he's Mr. Miyagi's sibling that we didn't know about. Maybe
I'm his cousin.
Are they in Reseda as well? Like they never ran into each other in Reseda?
Yeah, exactly. In the valley, yeah, it's there are nooks and crannies in the valleys with lots of different relatives that you don't know how they got there. But Cobra Kai, one more season coming up.
Yeah, season 6. Okay. I think may come out in 2024.
Okay,
may come out in 2024. I believe that's going to wrap up, and yeah, their intention is to continue to do more with the franchise, which makes sense. And I've heard even more about maybe a spinoff with just William Zabka, and doing something else. But I guess we'll find out. But I'm curious how they pull this off.
Yeah, and this does mention, and it's just like, phew, though perhaps we'd heard of it before, but there is a Karate Kid film coming out this time next year that is mentioned here.
Right. That's what Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan are trying to get some hype for.
Although it doesn't say if Jackie Chan is in the film, but
he's going to be in it. They're both going to be in it. Yeah.
Well,
my question is Charlie.
Billy Zabka. They say they say they don't know if Billy Zabka
may not be
in the film.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Gotcha.
So my key question is: will we get the next Karate Kid, Hilary Swank, finally in Cobra Kai or in this movie?
I can't afford her. My goodness, she won an Oscar, didn't she? Or was nominated? I don't know.
She did, but what is she up to?
The last thing I saw her in, and I love this movie. It was a COVID movie. It was The Hunt with Betty Gilpin, and at the end of it, sorry to spoil it for you, Hillary, you see it throughout the movie. Hilary Swank is the villain who's pulling all the strings, and the film ends with them in a huge punch up all around Hilary Swank's big fancy house. It was. I have that on my Fandango. You should watch it.
That was the liberal rage movie, wasn't it?
Yes, big time. It was liberals kidnapping people to hunt them for sport in like Yugoslavia or something, like so they would.
That's
kidnap
too
them.
funny.
Yeah, you should watch it. I think you'd enjoy it very much.
Liberal rage, conservative rage, all these silly rages. Yeah.
Rages. So, all right, well, moving on. And now this next one, I know that you got a little nervous when I posted this because you're like, I didn't finish What If Season 2. I didn't finish it. I don't want to be spoiled. But for no reason at all, and this just kind of popped up, and I wouldn't have even known to look at it because I'm not gonna lie to you. I spend most of my time on YouTube these days, which is weird. But I have YouTube, and I even did the YouTube Premium, so I don't have to deal with the commercials anymore. But one of the YouTubers I really love is Eric Voss, Young Rockstars, and he was doing a breakdown episode by episode. And as he's doing the finale, which we're not going to talk about because Todd hasn't seen it, he mentioned that and Disney dropped a clip today of season 3, and we're like, clip of season 3. And so by the time we backed out, this was up on my radar screen. So we watched this 2-minute screen, this 2-minute clip, and it is simply it's taken place in the 80s or 90s, and it's Bucky as the Winter Soldier, and then it's a very young version of David Harbour as the Red Guardian, and they're together, in a car, kind of like it looked like the Supernatural car. What kind was it? A Cobra? What kind of vehicle was that? It was like
either Camaro, probably Camaro.
Okay. And they're driving along, and Red Guardian's running his mouth and Bucky's saying nothing, and they come up on a police blockade, and they're like, oh, fine, I gotta wait it through. And then a cop comes up and starts talking to him, and it's the voice of Larry Fishburne, isn't it?
Yes.
Who was Bill Foster in the
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man continuity that we knew. But kind of weird that he was a cop. But again, this is what if. So anyway, it doesn't go well, and these guys take off, and then it's a police chase for 2 minutes. So it looked fun, and Red Guardian is a dum-dum, and he's yakking away, and then Bucky's pulling out machine guns and grenade launchers and shooting stuff, and just looks like fun. The only thing that really kind of made, I turned to April and said, is that at the end of the clip it says, what if season 3 coming soon? And I'm like, well, if coming soon is 12 months, then it's definitely coming soon, because they're not going to drop season 3 after season 2 just wrapped. And it was 2 years between seasons 1 and 2. Yeah, season 1 was out in end of 2021. So I'm hoping it would make no sense for them to drop this at all if it was 2 years away. But then again, what the hell do I know? Just whet our appetite for something we can't have. But anyway, I thought this looked fun, and I immensely enjoyed What If. I would encourage you to finish watching it. I think season one was better than season 2, and I like season 2, or I like season 1. So no, I definitely thought it was better. So anyway,
yeah, we'll talk about that in what we've been watching. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, because they're layering on some points that, hey, we're going to see more with Red Guardian because, we really didn't see Red Guardian as Prime.
Right.
This is obviously taking place in the past with the Winter Soldier having more adventures before. He came, where we know of him because we were introduced into him with when Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man, is young too. So we're talking the 80s. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the scene we saw at the beginning of Ant-Man, which took place in the Triskelion, and it was the de-ageified Michael Douglas resigning. That was 1989. So it could that would serve to remember. Now, and now this makes a very good point. The clip featuring the Winter Soldier and the Red Guardian is centering between two characters that will be featured in July of 2025 in the Thunderbolts film. So you can kind of see, it kind of gives you the vibe that we could, end up seeing this in fourth quarter of 2024. So regardless, like I said, What If is of the things that I've enjoyed of Marvel since the end of Endgame. What If is potentially been what I've enjoyed the most. I don't know, but yeah, it was pretty fun.
It kind of reminds me of like Star Wars Visions, like just these obviously are half-hour long episodes where Visions are typically 10 minutes. 15, where it's just basically giving little bits and pieces of things, which is good because then you feel like, well, if it doesn't work, then it's only still 30 minutes of something that doesn't work versus, hey, here's 8 hours of something that doesn't work and enjoy the ride. Like
anywhere between a 2 movie,
like Secret Invasion.
I know. Yeah. No, Secret Wars better work or Disney is really screwed. Especially after all that they're going through. So Todd, have you ended up watching any of Star Trek Prodigy when it was on before?
I believe I watched the first 3 episodes and didn't go back to it. My wife was actually checking it out now that it's on Netflix.
Nice. Exactly.
I don't think she cared for it. I kind of felt like she felt like this doesn't feel like Star Trek. And I'm like, well, you kind of have to glom on a little bit longer to get there. There's a connection. She was like, yeah, that's fine.
Well,
so I think she's like, it didn't grab her.
I mean, and again, and she's not a Trekker, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's not really a thing for her. She never mentioned
a lot of TNG, like a lot of people.
Okay.
She watched a lot of TNG.
I mean, that's true. That's true of any of us who lived in the 90s. It was kind of hard to avoid. But anyway, Prodigy did just on Christmas Day drop on Netflix. I'm assuming the entire first season. I haven't even looked. I feel bad.
Yes.
Because I own the entire first season because this was because it got dropped by Paramount Plus back in the summertime. Huge uproar. Got shopped around. Netflix picked it up a couple of months ago, and they're going to also give us the completed season 2. But during that brief window, I went and I picked up what was available at the time, which was the first half of the season. I checked back a couple weeks later; the entire season was there, which is great. But I haven't gone back and revisited it. But it's very enjoyable. But it has shot to the on Netflix top 10 lists in different categories all over the world. It's hugely popular. This has been successful, because you're dropping something built for kids that has a Star Trek name attached to it, which has, brand familiarity, unlike almost anything else with a 60-year-old franchise. And it's made for kids and it's clicking. So this is pretty exciting. I mean, it is still weird, and people are, myself included, a little sour that, Prodigy was the redheaded stepchild of the Star Trek family, and they just got the boot. But I'm enthusiastic to see that it's successful, and I would imagine that it will only be a matter of weeks or a couple of months until we get an announcement on season 2, which is great because we don't have, with the exception of Star Trek Discovery, of which we have April as a month that it's going to come out, we don't have a release date. So over on Code 47, we're doing different things to keep ourselves busy because we're not going to have new content for a while. So this is exciting. No, I'm sorry to hear your wife didn't enjoy it, but again, it is really focused on kids. It's got a very strong Voyager vibe because Kate Mulgrew is providing the voice of the mentor character, the mentor Janeway hologram, and it, the season has a great conclusion, and there's a lot of great episodes in between. So I would recommend it. I enjoyed it. If you haven't checked it out, I know when we were at the Grand Rapids Comic-Con working the booth for the Petoskey for our Star Trek fan club, I was having a chat with one of the Ghostbusters guys at the booth next to us, and he said, my kids and I started watching it. They were really digging it, and then it was gone. And so I had to tell him the story, and I said, yeah, Netflix picked it up. You'll be seeing it later this year. So I'm struggling to remember the guy's name. I doubt very much he would be listening to our show, but I will send my energy out into the universe, and hopefully he will pick up on the fact that when he turns on Netflix, it'll be there for him and his kids to watch. So this is good news. I like it.
Yeah, I was looking at the numbers for Paramount Plus has about, I think the latest number is like 60 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Paramount is a weird service because it does have the Viacom stuff, but it's also got like a lot of adults and sports stuff.
Showtime.
It's hard to know how many people are actually specifically looking for like an animated Star Trek show.
Right.
I mean, obviously we find like Lower Decks, but that was made specifically for Star Trek fans where Prodigy was going after a different audience because it was actually launching on Netflix or on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, Nickelodeon.
So a little different.
Which, got bubbled up. So yeah, exactly.
Where Netflix has, close to 300 million subscribers worldwide. Right. So it becomes a scenario where the likelihood that they will, people would probably find this show is probably greater.
Much greater.
You do have so I think that's a good thing. And Netflix has been really good for shows finding new homes. So I know people complain about Netflix like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, literally, it's saved shows. It's given shows second lives and made them highly successful. Like Schitt's Creek or, that
Cobra Kai
thrived. Yeah, that was on YouTube, had original series, and left and went to Netflix. So kudos to Netflix for doing this. And if it finds another life, we're getting a second season.
Right.
A third season may happen depending on the success of season 2, probably more so than how this is doing.
And it seems likely that it would be successful just based on that.
Go.
So that's good. I love it. All right. So I'll let you tackle this one, but the big stink, it was fun because I saw some guy who dropped a picture of one of the involved people in it. And I'm like, okay, so what? This guy was like, oh, don't you know who this bad man is? I'm like, okay. But anyway, Todd,
was it Zaslav?
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I was just trolling this guy. But anyway, you know me. But anyway, what's going on here? What's the merger news? So you're a merger and acquisitions guy. I know that's your love.
Yeah, in the world of streaming, it's really, really hard to be successful. We've got like Netflix is the biggest, baddest, then Disney Plus, and then you get like the Paramount Pluses, you get the Apple TV Plus, and subscription services. A lot of people are finding out that there's just too many, and it's hard to determine, what should I subscribe to, how long, and the costs are going up. So we know there will be a reckoning, and it will be hard to understand, especially as we've heard like services are losing billions of dollars and aren't profitable yet, and that's why advertising is coming to everyone, because advertising is money and it's continually coming in versus just the $6 a month you pay them.
It's so bizarre to watch people like chafe against that. Like, well, but I paid for it and it's ad free, and it was ad free 15 years ago. Why is it still ad free? Because they're not making any money. And people
I would say like a service like Prime that's adding ads. I'm like, well, I paid for it for a year, and it doesn't seem fair. Like, since I already paid for it and I said what I was paying for, that now I get ads. I could say it like, well, oh, I'm resubscribing. Now there will be ads. I totally get that. But I don't like that when they change
They
like,
just
the actual
plug it in.
contract I'm in. Yeah, it's so weird. But it is what it is. So
that's really the way I feel about it. It is what it is. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. I could turn it off. I
Right.
not watch their shows, which means I'm not using part of the subscription then. It's like, well, I'm not really doing anything to piss them off because I still paid them. So, democracy, pay with your wallet. I lost.
Speak with your wallet. Speak with it.
Yeah. So this story is really about, there's talks about some potential mergers coming because they realize to do well in streaming, you got to be big. Being small doesn't get you anywhere. So WB and Paramount are potentially, which would be Paramount Plus, and WB would be Max Discovery, are potentially looking at a merger. Now, Sherry Redstone owns Paramount. She's kind of like the primary person. I believe the parent company is called like something Amusements, which is weird. I'm like, Amusements. Oh, did not know that. So because of that, David Zaslav, who is the head of
the bad man,
he is not a good guy. No, he's a cost cutter. He's a saver. He's not a creative. He has been meeting with Paramount Global CEO Bob Bakish. And they're talking about potentially getting together and merging. So this is going to be interesting because anytime we've had a merger happen in between, Warner Brothers and Paramount, we had it with Disney and Fox. You're going to effectively reduce the number of projects coming out of them. You do.
Right.
You will lose headcount. You will lose the amount of sub imprints, things like that, and you'll have less projects coming out, and potentially projects that will be, the next big thing, or they're small and they grow, do big things.
Yeah.
So because of that, there's a lot of people nervous that this is not a good plan for the success of creative. We already saw what WB has done with removing content, canceling projects for tax purposes, and Paramount now, they're trying to grow Star Trek and other properties, live sports. There's a lot of things that are funky here, but obviously they see potentially by merging, Charlie, $5 billion annually in savings synergies, which means probably firing a lot of people.
Well, exactly. You don't, hey, well, I have, 20,000 people in this division and you have 30,000 people in this division and we don't need 50,000 people in this division. We need 15. So yeah, I mean, that sucks. You're absolutely right. But is the other side of it is that to really win you have to be big. But if they, what are the alternatives if they didn't merge? Because it seems like when this is rolling, what are the chances that it's going to fall apart? These things just they seem to go the distance. Disney went the distance when they acquired Fox, and they took 2 or 3 years, I think, to happen. So if it's got legs, but you're right. For creatives, bad. I mean, that is even the headline that you chose here is that the merger would be bad for everyone except the shareholders. Because the shareholders going to make bucks because now money's not going into a lot of different buckets. It's going into the big barf pail that is WB Paramount. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but Zaslav's not a good guy. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and so for us who like watching things, the negative thing can be sometimes like now that Disney owns all of the Fox Marvel characters, we at least knew we were going to get a Fantastic Four thing every once in a while. We're going to get an X-Men thing every once in a while. Right now, we know we're getting a Fantastic Four. We have no clue when we're getting the X-Men again. And that's the problem. Now it's like it could be decades until we get an X-Men film. So you often may not get something you like as frequently because
it just keeps getting pushed
Disney
back.
can say we own the characters and we can bring them out whenever we want because we've got other things.
Yeah, right.
So it could be frustrating for fans of certain things that are owned by franchises. I don't think Star Trek will fare well. That's the thing. Could a merger then change the leadership that's in charge of Star Trek right now? Could they say
anything could?
We don't like what you're doing. Zavlav could change his mind. It's like, hey, you've done all these great things, but they're not generating enough revenue. We're going to put that on hold and we're going to pivot.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, Star Trek has been on the shelf before, but it always tends to come back around. But yeah, I certainly don't want to be, collecting my Social Security the next time I see a new Star Trek show. Oh man, I don't know, but yeah, you know what? To put a pin in this, I would simply say it ain't show friends, it's show business, and yeah, it's all about the bucks. But yeah,
that's a precursor to 2024. We're gonna see a lot of changes in the industry. Obviously, there won't be a strike this year coming up, thank God. But there could be more crazy things with strikes of other organizations, right? We could see like, the stunt doubles are going to go on strike. The Teamsters are going to go on strike, and the production crews, maybe they don't want to run. So
yeah,
I'm hoping we're going to have some downtime and disruptions.
Yeah, you better believe it. All right. Well, before we move on to getting the heck out of this place, or excuse me, not getting the heck out of this place, because Madam Webb's a lovely woman and we love spending time with her. But it is time to move right along, Todd. I've got to get out that Fuber app, that Feeble Uber app. The Geek Easy awaits, so that we can talk about things that we're enjoying. But we'll do that right after this message.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with a click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/SFU and use our code SFU, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. Well, Charlie, I'm at that point where I've run through most of my shows I watch at night to help me fall asleep, which are Futurama, Family Guy, Cleveland Show. I'm like, okay, I need something new. So I was looking around for just a new comedy or something I can watch that will smile on my face before I go to bed, and I found one. It's on Hulu, and it's a British show called Extraordinary. And it's a very fun show. It's 30 minutes long. It has a hook, though, that's sci-fi. So this is essentially alternate Britain, where everybody gets a power by their 18th birthday, like a superpower.
Everybody's mutant.
People that,
so speak.
Yeah, pretty much. Like some people can rewind time, some people can do things. Well, our main character, she has not had her power arrive yet. She's 24 or so. Yeah, and she's kind of a ne'er-do-well, kind of like always in trouble. Hasn't really found a path to success. She's a nice girl, but with a lot of problems. She lives with 3 friends. The 2 friends she lives with are couple. The one guy, he can rewind time, and her other roommate that she went to high school with, she can channel the dead, which is kind of cool, and it's used as a plot point. The main character, her father died. Her mother's been remarried to an interesting guy, and she's got a sister that she struggles with just from a relationship status. And really, it's a very R-rated show. There's unbridled talk about sex. Language is on the table, and it's a lot of fun. It's very funny. And I'm enjoying quite a bit because there's the conundrum. The main piece is she wants to get her power, but she's a self-sabotaging person. She works like in a costume shop, and like it sells costumes to people or rents them, and she's kind of stuck in life. And that's where I'm at in the show. And it's like I've gone through 6 episodes, and it's hilarious. I think you'd really enjoy it. It's very funny. The cast is very good.
Any name actors or anybody that you would be like,
No,
hey?
no. If there is, I wouldn't recognize them. Like I said, it's very British. It's a very modern show. I think it's a 2023 show.
Oh, okay.
It's new. Yep. And it's on Hulu. And I'm not sure where they picked it up from, but I hope it's doing well because I really enjoy it. It's funny. The use of powers are well done. Like the one guy, he wants to be a vigilante, so he tries to get a team of vigilantes together.
Oh,
the people that come forward with their powers. It kind of reminds me of Mystery Men in a lot of ways because you don't see like real in this world, as far as I know, there's like no real like big superheroes doing heroic things. It's just powers are a way of life, and everybody like kind of deals with it. Like the one girl, she goes in a job interview, and the person she's interviewing with it has her power is to make everyone tell the truth. Just imagine if you were in that situation in a job interview and you had to tell the truth.
Oh my God. It's like that Jim Carrey movie, Liar, Liar.
Oh. Exactly. So I'd highly recommend everybody check out Extraordinary. It's all out there. I think it's 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I hope it gets a second season.
Nice. Good deal. All right. Well, we have the Rebel Moon.
Part 1.
Now, we were talking a little bit about Zack Snyder in the B-roll. Now, this is his third. It's second of third so far. Basically IP original pieces of work that he's done. The first was we were talking about was Sucker Punch, and that was back in the early aughts or the early teens. And
I think it was 2014.
Oh, okay. So the teens, all right. And I couldn't watch 10 minutes of it. It was one of those I was flipping by it back in the days when we flipped. And Todd, you watched the whole thing, and where did you land with Snyder number 1?
Despised it. Horrible story, bad storytelling. It almost felt like it was a music video that they decided, oh, this is cool looking. Let's make it into a movie.
Right.
But our script is 2 pages long.
Yeah, it's like it was very 80s. Yeah, it kind of felt like it was a rock video. And then now we have this. And so this is very shortly, this was the pitch that the almighty Snyder had for the Star Wars people back in, was it pre-Disney or was it just Disney?
It's pre-Disney.
Yeah, so it would have been probably right after. No, it would have been before Sucker Punch because the Disney acquisition happened I thought it happened in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, this is his Star Wars take. So Todd, take it away.
Yeah, so Rebel Moon is Zack Snyder's, like you said, it's a science fiction fantasy film that is essentially a take on the evil empire and that are oppressing the people. And someone is forced who has abandoned the empire is forced to use their abilities to fight the empire. That's really all it is. And this is based on Star Wars, but also the 7 Samurai, which
of course.
Star Wars was based on.
Right.
So
very circular.
gathering.
Yeah.
This movie is all about gathering a team for retribution with rebels against the evil empire.
Right.
I mean, that's it. That's all it is.
Right. And so treading upon trodden ground, I would think we as viewers, as I won't say sophisticated intakers of media, but certainly people who try to look at things with a critical eye, you try to find anything unique or new about it. Do you think he accomplished that in any way, shape, or form? Did he bring anything new to the table?
I think the main thing that he brought forward were visuals, which I always said his visuals are great. I mean, it looks interesting, although the lack of color is always frustrating with his movies. It just feels very brown and gray.
The brown, this could be Rebel Moon, the child of brown.
It could be, yeah. I mean, this movie is about 2 hours long, but it's part 1 of 2.
Yeah.
I would say probably 25% of this movie is slow motion, if you like that, but it got to be tiresome. It was, hey, look at this versus it's not used in a really meaningful way any
Yeah.
longer. It just felt like that's in my toolbox, kind of like J.J. Abrams with lens
Yeah,
flare.
right. And
there was no Force user, so at least there wasn't
like
used, but
magical
there
stuff,
was
right.
a Jedi that essentially was using lightsabers.
Right.
There was, a rapscallion who was a pilot. There was a bunch of different people that kind of felt like they had the same role. Like there was
Yeah.
a general that was disgraced who finally came back.
Right. You had you had some name actors. You had, Charlie Hunnam in this with a ridiculous Irish accent. Ed Skrein was the baddie, just, and the whole last 15 minutes is this really drawn out punch up between Ed Skrein and Sophia Boutella, who played the female lead. And it just really seemed to just drag on. I mean, and again, very well choreographed. That's what he does. He's very visual, but it just felt like Sucker Punch, just dragging and oh. So yeah, at the end,
nothing blew me away. Nothing was like, oh wow, I couldn't believe they did that.
Yeah. Well, I guess, again, so much of this is about managing expectations. I don't know that I would expect to see that in something that got dumped to Netflix, that it would be like, oh, because if it was really so incredible, wouldn't it be on the big screen? I don't know. I don't necessarily know all the details of how this came to pass, but very missable to me. And again, very much on par and on brand for the way he does things. Now he has, as we all know, very ardent fans, the Snyder Bros, and I'm sure the clamoring for a longer version of this exists. I'm sure when we get the second part, which is happening in April, that there will be demand for a put together 5-hour version, which turns into 7 hours of more and more and more. Yeah, I just didn't. You're right. It didn't blow my skirt up. I'm in your camp on this one.
Yeah, it was derivative of so many different things. None of the characters, I felt like they kept on introducing characters, and I never really got a really reason to care for them.
Yeah.
The dialogue wasn't, like, oh, that was a really great conversation.
Yeah, very pithy. Yeah, great dialogue.
We're introduced to this robot at the beginning of the film, voiced by Anthony Hopkins, which I'm like, oh, let's do something with that. We literally saw him show up in 2 scenes, and that was it.
Yep, we got him for 15 minutes at the beginning, and then he was the button at the end of the last scene. That's it.
Yeah, and deaths occurred, and I never felt like, oh wow, I can't get over that death, or it was so.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. That was a shocker. Yeah,
yeah, and when a certain villain was brought back, and I'm like, yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
That's happening.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I didn't say, oh no, how would he survive that? I'm like,
yeah,
oh, really? He survived that?
Yeah, you were like, instead of oh, you were like, oh. So yeah, this was
exactly.
This was 2 pitches of the oh. So yeah,
I have the higher ground, Obi-Wan.
Yeah, dun 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 dun. Bananakin Skywalker. Oh my gosh! All right, and then to wrap it up, now we're going to keep this very light, because you are 6 episodes into 8 of these. Or were you that far?
I was looking at I've seen all but 8 and 9.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's 9. Okay. So What If dropped on, was it Christmas Day, I think, over on Disney Plus, but I feel like this was something new. They released an episode daily.
The 22nd.
For 9 days. And I was absolutely in love with this season of What If. I enjoyed the original. And the What If is set within the parlance of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, obviously making it more palatable to the masses, because if it was designed for people like me, nobody would like it, because it's like, oh boy, it's a bunch of comic book stuff, whatever. But it's, little twists and turns, all narrated by the Watcher, voiced by Jeffrey Wright, about what if this thing happened and this thing happened. And then in both seasons, you could see that they're building to some kind of connectivity. And I went back and I watched a few episodes from season 1 as well. But I love this. I mean, we've known about some of the cool stuff, like they gave us an original character with Kahori, who was a Native American character. That was a great episode. Todd, what were some of your favorites that you've watched so far?
I really loved episode 3, and that was What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. That was Die Hard.
Good stuff.
And that one
fun.
Was so good. It was so fun. It was kind of like, this is what I wanted from What If. Like these kind of like odd stories with Happy Hogan, who kind of never really got the spotlight, and he did get the spotlight in this.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, I really liked the Hela episode because once
Yeah.
again, that was a villain that, I liked, and it was seeing another side of a villain and a different take on the story of two villains actually,
Right.
which I really enjoyed. I like that too.
Yeah.
I really liked the pivot on some of those. I found a couple not great. Like I found the first episode with Nebula
Yeah, it's
very
flat.
boring. I felt like this just felt like it added nothing to it. And
Right.
it's like,
Well, and it doesn't,
okay.
and it doesn't. It's not really something that endures. Where you know that and you've seen from the promos that Peggy Carter's character comes back, and then that kind of drives us to the finale, which you'll see when you watch those last two. And my wife is an enormous fan of the Captain Carter character. She cosplays Captain Carter, got Captain Carter merch and stuff all over the house. So that was very watching it together. That was very exciting. And did you get to the 1602 episode? Because I
No,
oh,
no,
okay.
I
So that's the next one.
I fell asleep.
That's the next one. So it's 1602, and then there's a finale.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but this is fun. And again, I enjoyed the dropping it out over 9 days because it gave you something to be very excited about. But you didn't sit and just binge the whole dang thing if you were a daily viewer. So yeah, so I was very enthusiastic about that. And then as we already talked about, season 3 is happening. We don't know when, thinking that it'll be probably this time next year is my overall feeling. But cool. Good. Any other thoughts?
I am glad with what they're doing. I know this isn't going to be like giving us non-MCU stories, but
Yeah.
I hope they do more of these one-offs that are kind of like, oh, we didn't touch on that at all. Let's do this and have fun with it.
And then
like the fact that now we're getting like that. Essentially, we're getting an Avengers team from the 80s.
Yeah,
I like that too.
That was great. Yeah. And again, it's more characters in the toolkit that they can bring out in other ways and other stuff on down the road. So, well, because we've talked so long and because we collaborated on almost all of these, I will touch on reading an actual comic. Now, I've known that this was coming because everybody knows I'm a very big G.I. Joe guy. G.I. Joe has finally returned to comics after being gone for over a year. There is a core title which picks up the main thrust of Larry Hama's storyline that's been going on since 1982, but there are 2 new comics that are written by different writers set in this now shared Void Rivals, Transformers, and G.I. Joe Energon universe. And this was portraying the character of Duke, who is the top sergeant in G.I. Joe. He's been a character since the original animated miniseries in 1983. But this was a modern reboot where Duke is essentially kind of like a Jack Reacher-esque kind of character, but he's a massive screw up. I mean, he, in the first couple of pages, you see, here's his career. He's saving people. He's doing stuff. And then flash forward to the present, he's sitting looking disheveled, sitting in a chair in Hawk's office, kind of getting the what for, like, we need you back. And Duke's like, I don't want to come back. And blah, 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 blah. And he says, because Duke left because he witnessed one of the Transformers in action killing a guy, and nobody will believe him. So the story then very quickly turns into a very, Jack Bauer, Jack Reacher 24 kind of situation where he's working on a cover up. You get a familiar name in Adele Burkhart, who was the Lady Doomsday, who they rescued in the very first issue of G.I. Joe. But again, it's told in modern parlance, so it's character and name only. But I loved it. Again, the art, I'm a little fussy about art. I like people that look like people. I don't necessarily think this did an amazing job of that, but the story, I read it over lunch earlier this week. I stayed after I finished eating just to finish this because it was intense. I loved it. So
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it was, it's rare that a comic comes along and bites me. I do like a lot of licensed stuff, and I do like very traditional Spider-Man, Marvel, whatever it is. But a new take on an old character, usually you're like, oh God, this could be a total cluster. This was great. So I'd rate Tata, you know what? It's over on my Kindle. I would say check it out. I think you might enjoy it
good.
too.
I can buy some things at the same time.
There you go. Please. Yes. Product placement. Yes, exactly. I love it. But
well,
anyway.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome to hear. Because I really enjoyed the Transformers.
Yep.
And it's all linking together, and I'm really excited to see where all this goes. So,
yeah.
Very, very cool. So we'll talk about that actually in our previews of 2024, Charlie.
I know the next book is coming up. We'll talk about it in a minute. But anyway, with that, it is time to get out of this skeevy geek easy. I'm not paying for my drink this time because I saw a guy hawk a booger into it, and I'm not down with that. But I got to get out that Air Qantas app. Time to get down to the land down under. Hologram Tina and the mutants are waiting for us to talk about 2024. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week we're doing a 2024 preview in comics, TV, and movies. This is all that we know of at the time, and things are always TBD. They could change based on anything happening. We're going to get some surprises. We know that, especially with the Super Bowl in about 5 weeks from now, that we will get ads for movies, trailers for things we don't know about, and also we'll get conventions will have new information coming out. So with that, we'll start with comics, Charlie. So I pruned through all of the information out there and try to find some surprises in the world of comics that are coming as far as we know. So the first one's from Dark Horse, and this is interesting.
Very much
Buckaroo Banzai against the World Crime League et al. Colon a compendium of evils.
Well, I will tell you tidbit, and maybe this is already in the that I watched that movie this fall just because when I travel, I have my little travel Roku. I'm like, I want to watch a weird movie, so I'll watch a weird movie, and I picked this one up. It was like $5 because I always loved it as a kid. At the very end of it, after they do their weird little musical interlude where they're walking around the dry LA River Basin, they say, "And Buckaroo Banzai will return in Against the World Crime League." So this is from 1984. This title. So.
Well, it's a sequel that never happened, so we're getting it in comic book form.
I thought
this is cool.
I want to read this. Does it say when it's coming out?
I'd have to look. I think it's the first quarter of the year, so by March it should be out. Yeah,
I'm in. Count me in.
Yeah, so DC, DC was kind of a quiet. I mean, this was a big year for them. The dawn of DC. They relaunched a lot of their comic books. This is kind of like their new status quo, where everything's a little bit brighter, not so dark and dreary with a billion crises. So they have been launching some very successful titles, which is cool. I need to catch up. I heard Superman is awesome. The new take on that. So more to come. But one of the titles that stood out to me, which is new, it's called Sinister Sons. So this is kind of taking off of where we got the Batman, which was John Jr. or Cal's son, John. And then we also had Damian teaming up. Well, now we've got this book where it's teaming up the son of Sinestro and the son of Zod.
What? Oh, crap.
Yeah. I'm like, that's kind of cool. So it's called Sinister Sons. So that's kind of neat that that's happening. And I'll be curious to check that out because we haven't had that before.
Yeah. Nice.
So very cool.
Good deal.
Yeah. Then IDW is dropping one of their most successful licensed titles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They did a book a couple of years ago called The Last Ronin, which was very cool. It was like Charlie, it was basically like almost like Days of Future Past or something, like basically in the far future. And it was jump forward, and you didn't exactly know what was going on. And highly successful book. I really enjoyed it. I did an episode of Spinner Rack with a few folks who'd read that. That we did that last year. So they have Lost Ronin 2, which is coming out because it did leave some dangling plot threads where they going. So I think this is kind of cool that it's going to be an ongoing storylines, but it's coming out, and I know this will be very, very big.
Excellent. Good deal. And Image Comics, and this drops at the end of January, is spinning off of what I was just talking about in the last segment about Duke. Now Cobra Commander is getting his first ever solo title. So you have a villain driving the bus. It's within the Energon universe, so it's going to be a new creative team set in modern time, I'm assuming, that's going to circle back around again. So Cobra Commander, the way he's portrayed in the comics versus the cartoon series, both two very different characters. In the comics, he was always a traditional disenchanted guy who basically formed an Amway-like organization that became an international terrorist group. Yeah, exactly. And then in the cartoons, he was a many thousand-year-old snake guy scientist who ate a face of spores and then was sent out into the world to raise an army. So two characters didn't have anything in common. So I will be kind of curious how they integrate probably the cartoon persona more into, because there was a couple of preview pages in the regular G.I. Joe Larry Hama comic that I feel like they teased this a little bit, and if I remember correctly, might have been a little bit more of the bent towards the cartoon bit of it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. Then Marvel, we're getting a lot of events that they've already kind of called out. We might have mentioned before, but it's the
Yeah, I think
Ultimate
so.
Universe is returning with a Spider-Man book, X-Men, and a Black Panther book. I don't know.
Black Panther wasn't when the Ultimate Universe really launched back in the year 2000. Black Panther was very niche, and then
Yeah.
5 years obviously after the massive success of the film, clearly that has kicked the Avengers out of the spotlight. There was a Fantastic Four book back then, but they've really drilled it down. So are these permanent returns, or is this part of an event, or it depends on how well it sells?
That's a great question. Obviously, this is a different Ultimate Spider-Man than we got, which we got Miles Morales from. It's going to be a different X-Men than we got, and then the Black Panther, same thing. So I'll be curious to see where this goes. If it's something that's lauded, or if it's just maybe like 2099 or the new universe where it just they try again and maybe you can't go back.
Right, exactly.
Yep. The Blood Hunt event, that is going to be basically the Marvel Universe versus vampires, which could be fun.
Yes, yeah, we talked about that. All right, and then X-Men 97, we get that the cartoon comes out in like 2 weeks. No, it comes.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on. I put it on my calendar. Yeah,
it's got an official date. I don't know if I've seen it. They haven't even put out a trailer yet for it. It's crazy.
I don't know, but I definitely saw a launch time. But if they're going to launch a prequel comic, it better come out like this week. Otherwise, they're going to be behind it.
That'd be.
So the X-Men 97 is obviously that spins off of the classic cartoon, but it's 5 years later, I assume. So
yeah,
things that move forward. Looks like, are we having a lot of the same characters, I would assume, or will we have different X-Men, or things will grow in a different direction?
Yeah, that makes me think. I should probably just watch like the last season of the X-Men cartoon to remember how it ended, so then I can figure out like, okay, what are the dangling threads? This comic is basically just trying to like fill in those spaces of what happened.
I mean, I will admit that I dabbled with that X-Men cartoon, but I know, like, for my friend Derek, who is my figure collecting partner, that cartoon was everything for him because he's about 10 years younger than us, or just maybe 5 or 10 years younger than us. So
I didn't get to watch every episode because it was on Fox Kids Saturday. I was a junior when it debuted, and I'm like, okay, and I know I didn't record it to watch them all, so I know I missed out on quite a bit, but it was the best thing we could have hoped for at the time.
Right. And now it's, it lives on Disney Plus, I'm assuming. So yeah, I would be with you about watching that. And I know, speaking of the X-Men being our only MCU film that we're getting this year, that we were planning to do a little bit of X-Men as far as talking about the film. So I would not be opposed to picking a handful of episodes of X-Men 92 and watching them and breaking them down. I think that'd be interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Avengers Twilight. This is kind of like a future, like kind of like the last Avengers story kind of thing, where the Avengers in the future have been disbanded. I think Steve Rogers is trying to put the team back together. So this one could be good. I like those type of books.
Gotcha.
So it's probably, I think it's a one-off. I think it's just a standalone story, which would be good.
Gotcha. It was the funniest thing in the world. I get one of those emails that say, come back and subscribe to our books and get 50% off. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm kind of curious. So I bring up all the titles. They have all these titles. It's like, regulars price $60 a year, $30 for you. And I'm like, I get my, I pay $100 a year for the Marvel Unlimited, and that gets me the special kit, which I only really do for the figure, which I really shouldn't even do because I just turn around and sell it. But the other stuff is like, and there's these discounts, whatever. It's just like everything ends up there anyway. And I know I know it's the death of the industry, but comics are it's just really tough to picking up a $5 comic book, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think trades and subscriptions of the future.
Yeah,
the weeklies are hard to pull off for most people.
That's tough stuff. Yeah. So, but anyway, so the House of X, Powers of X, Rise of X, whatever it is, you've read some of that, correct? But that's your next item.
So this is kind of like the epilogue, the bookend to the whole Krakoa saga. It's ending. They're going to be doing a new kind of status quo of X-Men, which is always the way the X-Men goes. They do like certain eras, and so this is kind of the ending of it. So this is going to be the end of that, and they're going to wrap it up, and we're going to see a new debut in 2024. So I'm excited. I will probably try to see where this is going. Like I read the original like House of X, Powers of X.
Yeah,
I will probably read these just to see where we're going next, because it's been kind of way too much and I'm
Yeah.
so out of sorts with it. I'm like, I just need to know what's
Yeah, right.
happening in a
Yeah.
good summary and see where they're going next. But
Yeah,
we'll
right.
see where this goes as we get a new status quo. And then we're getting a new Ghost Rider. So this is like a new Ghost Rider number 1. It sounds like it's going to be a new one versus the different incarnations we've had of Ghost Rider, which have been like Johnny Blaze, there was another one,
We're big Ghost
help me,
Riders
Charlie.
fans. Was it the kid like from Agents of Shield? There was the Latinx kid. What was his name? Ed. It's not Eduardo.
Yeah, he's
sorry.
the most newest one too. Yeah, so I mean I can't remember his name.
And
But then there was
he
Johnny
was
Blaze.
he was an Avenger. He had a car instead of a bike.
Yep.
Yeah. Damn it. What was his name? But anyway, he was Ghost Rider. But he
Yeah,
was
who-
Avengers.
was
So
it-
the last time I
was
was reading the book on a regular basis, when they live inside a hollowed out Celestial in the Antarctic, that's Avengers Mansion.
Yeah, and he had the Camaro that was on fire. That was cool.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's coming. So we're going to get another version of the Ghost Rider, which is kind of like the Ghost Rider. Anybody can become the Spirit of Vengeance. So that falls fully in line with
Right.
with that.
Anybody can.
character.
It's
So
like
I'm cool with it.
it's the opposite of being a Green Lantern.
Now, if it was Aunt May as the Ghost Rider, that would be pretty cool.
Get her out of the wheelchair if she happens to be in a wheelchair.
Exactly.
All right, so moving on to television, and boy, is TV and movies both going to be a little weird in 2024. I remember when the strike was going on, I was having lunch with my dad, and I'm like, Dad, they're on strike right now, so you're going to have lots of time to watch all the shows that you never watched in your entire life because there's not going to be anything new on. But fortunately, the strike is over. We've got some new stuff coming up, and there was already some stuff in the can. So you want to go onesie twosie here?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
All
So
right.
you take the first one, Charlie.
Yeah, you got it. Well, the first one is, and this is just a couple weeks from now, is Echo over on Disney Plus. This is spinning off of this Marvel's the first of their Spotlight collection. This is spinning off of a character that came from Hawkeye, which I watched when I had COVID. I was in bed with the TV and I was rewatching old Disney Plus Marvel shows, and so this was one that I watched. So, all 5 episodes dropped at once on January 9, which is not the norm for them, if I'm not mistaken. They usually parcel stuff out. But we talked about the fact that, well, maybe this is terrible. That's why they're dumping it all at once. But I guess we'll find out. But the trailers that we've seen for it shows this to be extremely adult, very R-rated, lots of bloody violence. So if that's your scene,
It's MA, yeah, and they're even calling it out in the ads for it, so it'll be on Hulu and Disney Plus.
Exactly.
But you do have to use the. I believe if you have it set up for Disney Plus to be age gated, your kids will not be able to see this.
That's a good thing. So, all right, what's next?
So there's this animated show called Has Been Hotel, which is looks very colorful and fun. It's by A24. It's going to be on Prime Video, and it's essentially a musical about the Queen of Hell who is trying to clean up hell and make space in the hotel. That's why it's called the Has Been. So Has Been. So basically, they basically have to solve their overpopulation problem, and it's a musical as well. Nobody you would really know is in this, but Keith David, of course, is in this because his voice.
Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some names. This could be a lot of fun. Like I said, I like to watch lighter fare at night to help me fall asleep. So Has Been Hotel, I might be in on this.
Gotcha. Very good. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is going to be on Prime Video, spinning off of the 2005 film, which gave us Brangelina. Star is Donald Glover, and the female lead was Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but she left. And who is the female?
Francesca Sloan.
No, it says that she's the director. Maya Erskine is the that you see in the picture here. So there you go. All right, Todd, this next show, I never made it anywhere with it. Have you watched this much?
Abbott Elementary, very fun, very cute. I like it. It's very much in that wheelhouse of like the Goldbergs. This is a modern elementary school. The characters are fun. Also kind of like Modern Family. So if you like those type of shows, Blackish, it's very much in that wheelhouse. I watched the first 4 or 5, but it wasn't because I didn't enjoy it. It was because I just, I should watch that with Chris, and we should probably get back to this because I miss a show like that, like Superstore. I don't have a show right now.
A regular old
sitcom.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, and Ty, you can have the next one too because this one's not my wheelhouse. Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is a live action series coming in February 22nd to Netflix. Everything I've seen about this so far makes me forget about the horrible movie from Shamalama Ding Dong.
Shamalama Ding Dong.
I'm excited. The cast looks fantastic. I am hoping it's very good. And the unfortunately, the creators of the original animated film are not involved in this, which always makes me feel weird. But ultimately, it doesn't mean it's not going to be successful.
That's true. Or good in general, because that's the barometer of success, is if it's any good.
Yeah, so we've seen things where the creators have been involved in them, and it's been horrible. So, if it's got the right tone and it works, I'm excited. I will definitely check this out. Netflix is on a hot streak for their adaptations lately.
Yeah.
I started watching that One Piece show, Charlie. Chris and I were just addicted to it.
Oh, wow.
It's so lighter fare. It's fun. It's original. I really like it. So I cannot wait for this in February.
All right. And in February, we're also getting Shogun, which is an adaptation of a novel from 1975 by the same name from James Clavell. Story following a gentleman who ends up shipwrecked in feudal Japan and entangled between a lord and his powerful daimyo, the Lady Mariko. So I'm assuming a lot of punch ups, a lot of sword work.
I assume. Remember the miniseries that came out like the 80s? This is not the first time this is out. It was I'm trying to remember the actor's name. He's got a beard. Played a doctor. His name is Richard Chamberlain.
Played, there you go.
The main lead in this, from 1980s. So this is an opportunity probably to get a little bit more faithful, probably better budget.
Very good. All right. Well, this next one is all you, because again, this show and the comic, it didn't necessarily click with me, but I know that it's beloved.
Shame on you, Charlie. No, just kidding. I get it. I love this show, Invincible Season 2 Part 2. I loved Season 2 Part 1.
Right.
And I'm like, they're splitting in half. Oh, darn. Now I have to wait. So it says early 2024. Don't know.
They just want
the show always ends
to keep you on the hook.
Exactly. And the first part ended on a big cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. So I am excited to see where it goes. It's close to the comic, but not a 1-for-1. Which is nice. So I don't feel like if I'm not complete to the comic, I'm going to miss something, or vice versa.
Yeah, good deal. And I'm excited for this, Todd. We talked about this trailer when it dropped maybe the last month, but Fallout, which is a classic video game. My son really loved it when he was a teenager. But we're getting, an adaptation of a beloved video game. Yellow Jackets alum Ella Purnell. And Todd, did you ever get through Yellow Jackets? Very surreal.
No, I don't. I've heard it's good, very good.
Yeah, it's very surreal. But anyway, she is playing a character named Lucy in post-apocalyptic Los Angeles, and nuclear devastation drives people above ground, but there's underground, but they're like, what's happening up on the surface? And as we saw in the trailer, it's a kind of a menagerie of post-apocalyptic mutants and all kinds of crazy stuff. So this looks like fun. The other video game adaptation that I enjoyed, that I know that is not beloved, is Halo. But that's very serious. This appears to be somewhat satirical, or at least it just kind of looks that way.
Yeah, I think everyone will find something to enjoy about it, because it definitely doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got some cool story beats. It's fun. There's it's all about from the lens of someone who comes out of a vault, and how does the world changed, and the cast looks good, and the world looks very cool.
Right. Oh, okay. Now we have our last somewhat confirmed thing coming out. Take it away.
Yeah, The House of the Dragon Season 2. It's been 2 years since
Hot D!
Had the first season, and that was a summer drop, and people were very nervous about that show. They were like, there's fatigue for Game of Thrones. And
because the way it ended,
we were very wrong.
Yeah,
we were very wrong.
And it was originally it was spinning off the universe, not any characters per se. And it was a huge success. I mean,
it's a prequel.
Everybody loved it. Yeah, and it was a prequel going back. So the same kind of thing that we really want Star Wars to do. That hopefully they will be doing with the Acolyte, going back. So, and great actors, obviously Matt Smith, Olivia Cook, Emma Darcy. And then this serious cliffhanger to end this. That was like, whoops, that's probably not going to be good. But I loved it. Yeah, and again, that this isn't always my cup of tea. But we were glued to this. It's that 9 p.m. Sunday night max slot where they stick those shows like this. So yeah, so summer. But that's the last thing that we have that anybody has a date attached to. The rest of it is just like would be nice. Oh, and it didn't include Star Trek Discovery, which will be coming out with its 5th and final season in April. So there you go.
Yeah, well, we do know we don't have dates, but we do know we're getting some things. They just haven't given us dates yet. Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power, that was a show they continued to produce because it was done overseas, so that'll be coming back.
Right.
Spider-Man Chronicles, that one surprised me because apparently it's
Roku
finished.
channel. Yeah.
It was supposed to be on Disney. Yeah, now it was bought by Roku, so
That's
Roku
weird.
could put it up whenever.
Yeah,
right. Acolyte, like you mentioned, Skeleton Crew.
Yep,
Star
Wars.
Scheduled. Those are the only. And I didn't know Bad Batch was getting a 4th season or 3rd season.
No, we knew. I mean that ended.
I didn't know.
I mean that ended on a cliffhanger. It would be really shitty if it didn't. But
okay, good to know. Yeah. Okay.
And
then we are getting apparently some Marvel shows.
Yeah.
Agatha Coven of Chaos, multiple different names it's been called.
Right.
Will be coming out next year. X-Men 97. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. They changed the name of that from Freshman Year to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So that's supposed to be coming out. And then Marvel Zombies, Charlie, I haven't heard anything about that show.
No, you didn't mention, even though I gave you a date, that X-Men 97 is supposed to be out in January, but that's not what, I don't know how old this article is, or maybe what I read just isn't correct. But we've not gotten anything more about this. Spider-Man, it even says freshman year in the art.
Yep.
Yeah, Marvel Zombies, no clue. And this Creature Commandos coming out, isn't this the one of Zack Snyder? Oh no, James Gunn's new.
It's the first thing. It's the first thing as part of the Gods and Monsters. So this will be a 2024 release. It'll be kind of interesting. It's animated, so I mean it's supposed to be canon with the new DCU. So, but it's probably going to be wacky and weird. So why not?
And weird sounds great. And then we've got some bang bang bangs from DC. Suicide Squad plus Harley season 5. I guess there's already a Superman show out. My Adventures with Superman. I guess I've not seen that. Okay.
It's cute. It's fun. Yeah. It's like a young Superman with the people doing adventures. So it's actually very classic, which I think is good. My son liked it and we liked it.
Yeah. The Penguin, spinning off from The Batman with Rob Battenbat, is coming out. Alien on Hulu.
How's that gonna work?
Yeah, I don't, I mean, they do, it turns into Terminator, right? Like, we've got it. I mean, anywhere they can slap the, let's say, Noah Hawley and Timothy Olyphant. Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah, Noah Hawley's a pretty prolific creator. He does some good stuff. I think he did, didn't he do Legion?
I think so. That sounds familiar.
Okay.
Interview with the Vampire ongoing. I haven't watched it. Chucky Will Not Die, part 2 of season 3. And then The Boys, season 4. Sure. We'll believe it when we see it. Umbrella Academy. I've never gone back to that. I know that things got pretty crazy with that. And then stuff. And then looking out far beyond who knows what.
Unknowns.
Yeah. Witcher, Peacemaker, Last of Us. Welcome to Derry, which I assume is a spinoff of it. Another season of The Mandalorian, which I've not heard anything about being confirmed. And we know that Andor season 2 is definitely going to be in 2025, which sucks.
Yes.
But that's where it's at.
That is it for TV. So hopefully something you like was on this list, or hopefully will be announced that we'll get to watch. Right. Because Charlie, it's not like the old days where TV Guide, you get the previews and you're like, oh, TV Guide, I'm going to highlight everything I want to watch.
What was that? Was that an episode of, that was the deal with George's dad on Seinfeld with the TV Guide. Yes. And then Homer Simpson loved TV Guide. The 3 R's of TV Guide, reading TV Guide, writing to TV Guide, and renewing TV Guide.
What was it? Cheers and jeers. Oh no, I've been jeered.
Yes. Are we hot? No, we are not. Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
it's like the bullseye with Entertainment Weekly, right?
Oh my god.
Remember the bullseye at the back of Entertainment Weekly?
Entertainment Weekly doesn't exist anymore, does it? It's like gone. Did it go?
I think they do like just specialty magazines now.
Oh my god, it's so crazy.
I think it's just a website now.
Oh my God, what isn't? Well, moving on to talking about movies, there's a few here, but there's a few that are going to be in 2025, thanks to the very rightfully earned writer strike, which again we're very very happy about. So glad those people get what they need. But I've been seeing lots of ads on my Instagram and on my TikTok for Mean Girls, which comes out January 12. Not exactly a remake of the iconic film, which is now from 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the Tina Fey classic. But we're getting, I believe that she's writing the new film, and I know she's in it because I end up seeing her in some of these ads.
She's like the principal, I think, in this one.
Yeah,
and it's a musical.
There you go. And it's a musical, so it's right up Todd's alley.
Which they haven't shown any musical bits of it either, so it's very odd. Yeah,
they're kind of holding it close to the vest. Next, you have is it Argyle? What the hell's the name of this movie? Argyle.
This is the movie that seems like the author. No, the author played by what's her name? Dallas Bryce Howard, where she's an author and everything she writes apparently becomes true. It's got the spies, and yes, it looks very cute.
Yeah, Cavill, John Cena,
Dua Lipa.
My secret love, Dua Lipa. Ooh, it's not a secret anymore. Whoops, sorry. And Samuel Jackson, because there's not a film in existence that he's not in.
Nope.
We have what will be the most important film of the year, because Todd and I are getting a cut because of Madam Webb. That would be her film, which comes out on Valentine's Day. Now you got Dakota Johnson as the titular character, but she forms a super squad featuring notable faces like Isabella Merced, Celeste O'Connor, and the very comely Sydney Sweeney. But this is the first of 3 films that we get in 2024. That's the Spider-Verse with no Spider-Man.
Alive and well.
The Spumco lives. So yeah, I'll see it, but frankly, of the 3, one is a Venom film, the other one is the Craven film. This looks like the winner. I don't know if you can really quantify that it's a winner,
Charlie. If you've got 3, there's always a winner when there's a loser. We all lose when these movies come out.
If you're not first, you're last. We got a Bob Marley biopic coming up same day, and then we're on to Dune. Part 2 of Is it part 2 of part 1? Definitely need to rewatch this
of 2.
Yeah, definitely, because the original came out during COVID, so we watched it at home, if I'm not mistaken, or it was like slightly hybridized. Okay, I definitely saw it at home, so I will watch it again and then dig into this. So yeah, because the original Dune film
2021, so it was 2021, so it came out in October of 2021.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that was past the real lockdown part of COVID.
Correct.
But anyway, this is so because the original film from the 80s was really supposed to be part 1 of 2 or part 1 of multi-parts, because the whole story was
condensed.
Told. Yeah. Where this is expanding out, but you have the gorgeous Timothée Chalamet, joined by, again, a cast of millions. You got Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista. It's like they jammed all the Marvel people in this that they possibly could. But joined by the even more gorgeous Austin Butler, Christopher Walken, Florence Pugh, Léa Seydoux, and the last one I'm not even going to try. But you've got a cast.
Suzela Yacoub.
Thank you very much. You got a cast of gazillions in a movie that will probably be 4 hours long. But I'm in, and I'm
in too.
We'll have a chat about it. Another Kung Fu Panda movie, and then we're into Ghostbusters, the Frozen Empire. That movie, the return of it came out, was it holidays of 21, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Thanksgiving 2021.
Yeah, enjoyed it very much, because you got the up-and-comer Mackenzie Grace was and then Finn Wolfhard are the grandchildren of Egon Spengler, and they busted some ghosts out in the Heartland. Now they're back in New York City, bringing Paul Rudd along, but we're reuniting with the survivors of the original cast. And I've seen the trailers, and I think it looks fabulous. I'm excited. I like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I hope it's. I mean, they've hit all the nostalgia pieces already, so now that's just got to stand on its own. Hopefully, they can do that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So a movie that's kind of an unknown. It's called Mickey 17.
Yeah.
This is March 29th. Robert Pattinson stars as a space traveler, Mickey 17. Mickey is a disposable employee sent on a deadly mission to colonize the ice world Nephilim. That sounds interesting.
Mickey. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. We talked about that pretty recently. And we're not even into summer yet. We've got the Civil War movie up next, which we've talked about. Big, scary.
Called, yeah,
you're living
it's
it.
a documentary, actually.
Yeah, with Kristen Dunst and Jesse Plemons. Still in April, Challengers. Romantic comedy sports drama, skipped. The Fall Guy, which we've talked about. This is a comedy with Mr. Ryan Reynolds, Mr. Beautiful.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan, what did I say? Ryan Reynolds? Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds?
You said Ryan Reynolds, yep.
I bet. Now we're into the summer. Now we're into the summer season with If. Now this is Ryan Reynolds. It's If, the wish fulfillment movie. Wish fulfillment, the movie.
If is the one where it's a girl can see imaginary creatures.
Yeah,
and
there you
so
go.
can Ryan Reynolds.
Looks cute. And again, we're into the summer. Then we get Furiosa with our shared girlfriend, Anya Taylor-Joy. Love it.
Yeah.
Another Garfield movie.
Yeah, so we got three movies, Charlie.
Yeah.
So we got three movies May 24th where I feel like something's going to have to move because you can't have Furiosa, Garfield, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes be on the same date.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and that's the third one's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that we talked about. We have another Bad Boys film in June. Bad Boys 4? Are you serious? Wow.
Well, Bad Boys for Life was the biggest film of 2020 because it was the last film that came out before the pandemic happened, and it was
wild.
huge.
Yeah. We're getting Inside Out 2, which is a sequel to that very successful film from a few years ago. Another
Miss Ballerina on June 7th, which is a John Wick spinoff starring Anna de Armas. So that could be fun.
Nice.
Your boy Norman Reedus is in that one, Charlie.
What? Oh, is that him? Is that him being cozy? Oh no, that's the bike rider. Sorry, we're skipping that one. New Quiet Place film. They're still staying quiet. This is the third one. Still no John Krasinski. He's still dead.
Prequel, and it's not including the previous cast. It's Lupita Nyong'o is starring in that. I will skip that because I don't care what happened as things were crap in the bed.
Another Despicable Me movie. April will not go see those because she hates Minions. New version of Twister. Now, it's obviously not bringing back Bill Paxton because he's dead, but is Helen Hunt like, hey, I'm going right back out and chasing some? Doesn't really say who the cast is, but they're going to run around.
Glenn Powell is starring in that from, but Twister. So there's two. Oh my God, two Twisters.
Oh boy, and they're gonna fight it out. Finally, our lone entry from the Marvel Cinematic Universe drops on July 26th. Deadpool 3, which will, to me, kind of genre speaking, certainly in the superhero world, kind of be the event of the year so far, at least up to this point in the superhero realm.
It's later than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean,
big time.
What is the big July 4th film? It's Despicable Me. I mean,
yeah. Which I suppose that fits. Borderlands. Now that's a video game adaptation. Eli Roth with Kevin Hart because he's in everything. If it's not Samuel L. Jackson, Jack Black, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Ariana Greenblatt because she's in everything. Before the end of the summer, we get Craven. Now this is Aaron Taylor Johnson as a extraordinarily violent version of Craven the Hunter, which again, Spumco with no Spider-Man.
But he's a good guy in this.
No, I think isn't he just a guy? I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So now we're out of the summer into September. Beetlejuice 2. And we've got a decent portion of the cast back, except for he who was canceled. But Jenna Ortega joins as a new face. Moving on, we had the animated Transformers 1. A big voice cast here, yeah?
Yeah, and it's all animated. This will be the first time on screen, from a film perspective, that Peter Cullen will not be voicing Optimus Prime. It will actually be Chris Hemsworth, but this is supposed to be from the early days where, I guess that's okay. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Peter Cullen can rest. He's 80 years old.
Yeah, you got to retire at some point, or they just end up doing the Comic-Con circuit and hopefully don't catch COVID. We have yet another Saw movie. This is Saw 11. But Tobin Bell.
But it's another prequel, Charlie.
Yeah. So they're going even backwards. I don't even think I can have Tobin Bell in them. They just keep making him younger. October now we have the Joker Folie à Deux with the awesome Lady Gaga as the Harley Quinn, and it's a continuation of Todd Phillips' Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, the surreal Joker. Oh my!
It's
I
the
did
only
not.
DC film. It's the only
Oh,
DC film
really?
in 2024, and it's not even tied to the DCEU.
Oh, that's
so,
wild.
yeah.
I had no idea there was going to be a sequel to Smile. This was the movie with Susie Bacon back a couple of years ago. And I thought she died at the end of it. Sorry. So how'd they bring her back? She's going to be the Smiler.
I never saw it. I
Oh.
don't know. I mean,
Whoops, well, sorry for the spoilers. My bad. The Terrifier is another movie, and then we get into Venom, and we're out of scary season, even though it's scary that they're still making Venom movies. So, oh boy, that last one just really didn't do it for me. Okay, November of 2022, a sequel to Gladiator. Didn't he die at the end of that? Sorry, spoilers from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Whoops. Okay. So he's
Paul Mescal stars as a grown version of Lucius Verus 2, which is the nephew of Joaquin Phoenix, who was the horrible emperor.
Right.
It's got Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Connie Nielsen. I mean, great cast, and Ridley Scott's a good director. So he wouldn't come back to a franchise just to make money.
Would he?
It's not the Blart. It's not like a Paul Blart film, right?
Or any of the Fast and the Furious. Moving further in November, we have part 1 of assumed 2 of the Broadway musical Wicked, with Ariana Grande starring as Glinda the Good Witch. I know people who've loved that musical.
Good.
I've not seen it. Yeah, should be good. And then we already talked
we
about.
love the musical.
Yeah. We already talked about The Karate Kid, which comes out December 13. That is Mr. Machio with Mr. Chan, not knowing if we'll get other characters. Oh, ending the year with a whimper, not a bang. Todd, did you see the live action Lion King?
No, I heard it was pretty much beat for beat. And
I just zero interest. But this is a surprise.
A prequel? A prequel of Mufasa, like a prequel Lion King film?
Yeah, exactly. Skip. Yeah, thank you. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I don't believe I saw the second one. But I know I love the first one. So that's holiday season. And we're getting, on Christmas Day, how apropos, a Nosferatu with, who is the female lead? Lily Rose Depp. Ooh, awesome.
No. Nice.
Another take on the classic 1922 film. How cool. And then, then we get into it not yet dated, which is the Beyond the Spider-Verse. So
that's definitely not coming out next year.
Yeah. That's and I thought I had heard 2025, but it came out. So that's it. That's our very pieced together 2024. Not knowing how things are going to evolve.
So Charlie, I'm not letting you get off the hook. So I will say that one of our friends, John Sear, did say in the he was looking forward to in 2044. He said House of Dragon season 2, more Doctor Who. And he's hoping Cobra Kai season 6 drops in 2024.
Yes. Yeah. No idea what the production life was on that. So yes. Awesome. Okay. So go ahead. What's else got?
Prediction time, Charlie. Predictions. So need a prediction, Charlie, from you about the world of TV. Now, not just a trend in TV, but something in TV that you predict will happen in regards to maybe a TV series or something like that. Same thing with movies. And then a trend you predict will be happening in the world of geek media.
Well, I'll go backwards here. I think we all know the trend, and this is not a hot take because we've already talked about it, is that things will just continue to condense. The pond is going to get smaller as the big fish have to eat the little fish, or the fish merge together in some weird like telepod thing from The Fly where the fish has 3 eyes or whatever it is. Dollars are harder to come by because there's less content, and then there'll be potentially even less creative outlets for people to make content. So I'm just think you're just going to see things continue to crunch down. In movies and TV, at least there were a lot of dates for things that were completed. But it's very weird to me to see a single DC entry and a single Marvel outside of the Spumco entry. I feel like a lot of superhero fatigue might see less and less of those things on the slate for 2025. Makes me wonder if maybe, like Westerns, they peaked. because you remember back in the 50s and 60s, Westerns were unstoppable, TV, movies, and then it came a time that they died. And I'm wondering if with, the big failures of the Marvels, the not quite as big a failure of Aquaman 2, if maybe someone smelling the coffee, the writing's on the wall, that we might start to tilt away from that. In TV, it's tougher still, because how do you know what's popular when TV networks are just going to continue to erode, and that's not where people are getting their content? So when things are streaming, how do they know what's popular? How do they know what to keep making? How do they capture those additional dollars? I've always been somewhat mystified by what makes a popular streaming show. How do they keep making, Stranger Things and so, oh boy, you realize Stranger Things wasn't on the docket for this year.
Yep.
Which to me is pretty surprising. So I think TV will still continue to kind of be a mystery, as far as, if everything becomes one and done. Hey, we made one season of that. We canceled it before 2 episodes aired. I'm just not sure what will become the barometer of success for TV at this point, especially with, empires collapsing and merging and just being a very real Game of Thrones with TV and movies. That's what I got.
Very, very good. Very, very vague, Charlie.
I was working on it. That's how much prep I did. It's
Okay.
from here and here.
Okay, so I think we're going to continue to, in TV, I think we're going to continue to reboot a lot of things that worked in the past. And I think some of those things will be properties, like we've already heard about X-Files coming back. I think we're going to see Marvel realize there's money. Same thing with DC. I think there's money to be made in things that were very popular in the past and bring those back. So I think we could see in the TV lens, I think we could see maybe animated versions of things that were popular to come back. So think of we got the X-Men 97.
Mhm.
We could see the Spider-Man, either Spectacular Spider-Man come back, or see maybe the Spider-Man 92, 91. When did that
90,
come out?
94, something 94, 95.
I
Yeah.
could see maybe that come back as well.
Okay.
Because I think there's a desire for those type of things. Smaller scale, animation is the proper place for a lot of those things, and I think they could do very well.
Yeah.
So I think we could see more of that. So more animated things, luring us from our nostalgia holes. I've always wanted. And I think it would be very smart for Disney to go back into maybe the world of Buffy and do a Buffy animated series.
Yeah.
With a new showrunner. And maybe bring back some of the voice cast, because you don't have to worry about their age, and you could do subsequent things with them.
Even when people sound old, it's still them.
Exactly. For movies, I think, to your point, I think we are going to start seeing less superhero films every year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we will see is the budgets actually come in line with what they're going to do.
Right.
But with the success of a Godzilla -1 with a $15 million budget, doing as well as does, as good as it looks, I think we're going to start seeing more of that type of filmmakers who can do things in a tight budget and keep it sound.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to see more of her successes. I think we won't see many I think the horror franchises are going to shift. I don't think we're going to see another Scream. I don't think we're going to see another Friday the 13th. Yeah. But I think they're going to go back to the well, and I think it's time for Nightmare on Elm Street to come back.
Ooh,
so I think we may see a project like that announced.
Yeah.
Which could be a big deal. I know the last one I never watched, which
James Earl Haley. What's that dude's name?
Jackie Earle. So I think that we could get something from that, or maybe another classic horror franchise coming back that we haven't seen in a while.
Not Halloween.
Whether it's a break, because Friday the 13th is supposed to come back in a TV series.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, I think something else could work. And then a trend. I think we're going to see more live productions or concerts or even Broadway come to movie theaters.
Oh, yeah.
I think with Taylor Swift, it was so popular. People can't often see concerts. Like you think of like if the Rolling Stones are ending this year and not everybody can see them, why not put it in a theater where people can see the Stones?
Well,
or see Elton John
and
or Billy Joel.
Outside of the the opera series that you always see through that's very limited. But something that's a GameStop, like they could have done with the Eagles, because apparently now they're done. But I think Elton John might be done too. But the Rolling Stones. It was hilarious to me. The Rolling Stones tour is, I kid you not, sponsored by AARP. Saw that. Of
course.
Yeah, of course. I saw that in the advertisements recently. But I totally agree with you. Yeah, somebody grabbing onto a trend that was massively successful, there's no doubt that they're going to push it forward, because they could still make all that money. And oh boy. Yeah, that's a good one. That is some rock solid logic, my man.
All right. Well, that is it. That's our 2024.
We're not going back to 2020. It's banned.
24 hours ago.
No, I want to be.
I feel sedated.
And we're wrapping up on date 123. 12/31/23. That is if you're in the US. But Todd, where do people find you out there?
They find me on the threads and on Twitter at @TOxtra. Secret Friends Unite is there at Secret Friends Unite and at Secret Friends U on Twitter. So check me out. I'm trying to put stuff out there, be more interactive with people. Threads is still trying. They're still lacking some things. They have GIFs now on the app, so that's a win.
Yay, I like the GIFs. I am also over on Instagram and Threads. I am C3 Carpenter, spell it out. You can find me, of course, on the Secret Friends Unite Discord. But as always, my wife April and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey, one of the biggest chapters of the International Star Trek fan club in the world. We are based here in West Michigan, but we have folks all over the state of Michigan. But I'm also privileged to run Region 13, which is Michigan and Eastern Canada. Please visit sfi.org if you'd like to learn more about it, and check us out at grandpetoskey.com or at Region 13. Just give it a Google, and I'd be happy to connect you with trekkers in your vicinity. With that, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Wax on, wax off.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.